All right, one more election thing, and I hate this one because it involves Mike Bloomberg, who is just the worst. But since last week, the rumors have been swirling that the billionaire is considering a third-party run for president, a rumor that we hear pretty much every election cycle. Josh, do you think there's any validity to it this year?
Well, since the last guy that was doing it was Trump, I'm very gun shy. I don't know. I absolutely think that if Sanders is the nominee, it's way more likely that Bloomberg is going to do this. And again, I've heard people saying that he won't run if Hillary's the nominee, but I've not seen that confirmed from him or any of his people. So I don't know if that's really true or just speculation. But I almost wonder if he will be able to pull it off, and even in a way that like Nader, where it would hurt the Democrats significantly or the Republicans, because he sucks. I mean, like, as you said, you couldn't help yourself living in New York saying how bad he is. I mean, he's the guy that did the soda thing. You couldn't get the big soda. So I can't see him. At least Ross Perot was funny.
At one point, Mike Bloomberg tried to ban Mr. Softy trucks from playing the music and called it noise pollution. That's the kind of person Mike Bloomberg is.
Right.
Bloomberg is not going to run as an independent because people who run as independents get their asses handed to them, and there's no point of Mike Bloomberg getting that. What Bloomberg is doing is saying, I'm here and I'm prepared, and if you on the Republican side implode for any reason, or if there's a last minute some kind of maneuvering where the Republican base and the Republican establishment just says there's no way we're going to get behind Donald Trump. Bloomberg is saying, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm waiting. If you guys need me, I'm going to step in. It's the kind of things you hear about Biden if something were to put Hillary out of the race, some kind of email indictment, a heart attack. I mean, anything that pulled her out of the race and put Sanders I'm serious. Put Sanders as the nominee. It's, the Democratic establishment is going to say, no, we can't do this. We can't put Bernie Sanders out there. And they're going to find a way to draft an establishment candidate. Biden in the wings, Bloomberg in the wings, who knows who else. I mean, we talked about Rubio, but I mean, that's been one of his sort of strategies all through this, was to stand in the back of the room and say, if you guys ever wanted a non-crazy candidate, I'm just over here.
The Romney gambit is what that's called.
That's a good question.
No, exactly. So, no, Bloomberg isn't going to be an independent, but he could be a factor. And he could, be nosing around the convention, for example, see if there's going to be a draft, whatever. Yeah.
Well, what I was wondering is if it'll turn into a pissing match between Trump and Bloomberg. Do they have a rivalry where, it's just a battle of the billionaires kind of fucking with each other to see who can win it?
No, Bloomberg is actually much richer than him.
No, he is. Yeah. I just checked. It's something like $39 million to $4 billion net worth. So it's a substantial difference. But, I'm wondering if it could be something like that, too, where Bloomberg just kind of wants to shit on Trump and try to dash his chances. I don't think Bloomberg could win because independents never win. We suffered through Ralph Nader for how many years trying? So.
Well, maybe not an independent like Bloomberg, but Josh, do you think that maybe even like a Rubio or a Biden could jump in as a third party in case it is a Sanders-Trump?
I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think it would get to that. I think the conventions are probably going to be the most interesting conventions of our lifetime, just because. I mean, Hillary Clinton already has locked up a bunch. What was it, like a third of the super delegates or something? And that was in the summer that story came out. So, I mean, there is conceivably a way in which Bernie Sanders could end up with the most delegates from the primaries, but Hillary Clinton still has more delegates than he does because of super delegates and things like that. And a brokered convention would just be a disaster for either party. And I think that, I think the conventions are where the magic's going to happen. So, I mean, if any third party person or a surprise candidate like draft Biden, or maybe, they dig up Ronald Reagan and nominate his corpse for his bones for office. I don't know. But I definitely think that the conventions are going to be where the parties have out these differences if the voters don't do what they think they're going to do.
I mean, you can imagine Trump sort of, if for some reason it got to the convention and he was, not going to be the nominee. You can imagine Trump just sort of saying, whatever, you guys have a good election, fuck it. But it's very difficult to imagine the Bernie Sanders people, just quietly, saying, well, congratulations, Hillary. We look forward to supporting you in the general election. No way. These are people who are emotionally invested in this candidate. And if they go to the convention with delegates to deal, that should be very interesting. I think it'll be the first set of conventions that may be worth watching.
Oh, I wrote about it earlier this week, and Josh, you saw it also. There was a poll on Drudge Report, and I mean, obviously it's unscientific, but it did have 1 million some odd votes, and second to Donald Trump by only like a handful of percentages was Bernie Sanders. He beat Ted Cruz among this conservative crowd. He beat Marco Rubio. Obviously, he beat, Hillary finished with like less than Jeb Bush did, and these people really hate Jeb Bush. Do you think that Bernie Sanders could, what Peter said, maybe wedge in there as a third party? This is obviously his last chance to run.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see him doing the third party thing. Because if he was doing the third party thing, he would attack Hillary and, do everything but call her the C word on the stage, before he would run a third party, an independent run for the White House. Because, again, if he couldn't win the Democratic nomination, how's he going to beat Trump, the Democrats and the Republicans? But I do think that, what that poll shows is one of two things. Either Bernie Sanders and his people online are amazing and can change, because if Bernie Sanders were if the hashtag Feel the Berm was like, hey, let's vote in this Drudge poll and fuck up their results, that's pretty impressive online mobilization, and that's nothing to shake a stick at. But if it's genuinely conservative people who like Bernie Sanders, it might be the people who just, are mad at Wall Street or are not fans of Hillary Clinton. Like, they hate Hillary Clinton so much they voted for Bernie Sanders. I mean, I don't know.
There's a scary amount of overlap on some issues, particularly the economic issues, between Trump and Sanders. I mean, there's nothing where they touch common ground on social issues. But Bernie is against, the campaign, the undemocratic campaign contributions. Bernie is against these trade agreements, NAFTA and the TPP. Both Bernie and Trump support some regulation or some price control on pharmaceuticals. I mean, they do these for very different reasons and very different justifications. But at the end of the day, if you were a Republican voter who wasn't focused on social issues and, you just weren't going to vote for Hillary Clinton and you weren't going to vote for Donald Trump, there's parts of Bernie's message that actually resonate.